toot. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Travel on home to the place you were this morning. Travel on home to the place you were this morning. I can't hear your voice, but you were right now, my darling. Picture it now, 'cause life seems very boring. Picture it now, oh, this life seems very boring. I can hear your voice, but you were right now, my darling. Woo-hoo, yeah. And the distance is a time and place you're surely hoping. Out in the distance is a time and place you're surely hoping. And I can hear your voice, but you were breathing now, my darling. Woo. I can hear your voice, but you were right now, my darling. Yeah, woo. Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. She's always there for you, just in time, trying to give you important signs. Don't let those strangers bring you down. 'Cause ain't nobody got time to frown. Yeah. I'm singing, hey, mama never let you down. Hey, mama never let you down. When in doubt, you can always look the other way. Send those silly feelings on off to bed. Silence can help accomplish a time, and jealousy will be done. Yeah. I'm singing, hey, mama never let you down.
Great song, Sammy.
Hey, mama never let you down. Well, the feel-good feel is fine, to know your heart is always mine. Now I've got to carry on, to make sure I could sing this song. Yeah, yeah. Ooh, yeah. I said the feel-good feel is fine, to know your heart is always mine. Now I've got to carry on, to make sure I can sing this song. Hey, mama never let you down. Hey, mama never let you down. Woo-hoo-hoo. Hey, mama mama never let you down. Yeah. Hey, mama never let you down. Yeah. Right. Get that major seventh in there.
Yeah, you gotta get that.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to episode number 40 of the Tasty Twist with Sammy B. Once again here in Ludlow at Okemo Valley TV. Thank you guys for providing the platform. You all just heard from my good friend. We've known each other for quite a few years now. Ty McCarthy, right?
That's right.
A few years.
That's my name.
Anyways, yeah. Time flies when you're having fun. So Ty, everybody, is the owner, operator, CEO, and executive of everything at his talent booking agency out in Canaan, New Hampshire, the Wheelers VT Productions, but you also work a day job. You got quite a bit going on always, right? Yeah.
Busy guy like yourself, Sammy.
Busy guy all about. Yeah, so tell us a little bit how, before we get into when you started drumming and everything, how did you determine to work on your own as a talent booking agent?
It was kind of a long and organic process how that came to be. I was pretty active playing drums in a couple bands around the Upper Valley area of Vermont, New Hampshire, and I was very aggressive about trying to book at new venues and building relationships with those venues. And eventually, after, years of hosting different open mics with different artists and stuff, those relationships led into a venue reaching out saying, "Hey, I had a cancellation. Do you know any bands? Can you guys fill it? What's up?" And after hosting those open mics, we built a lot of relationships with very talented artists that didn't necessarily have the booking thing down.
Yeah.
So I started throwing out their names to those venues, offering them up, just filling dates, as favors. Mm-hmm. Just helping out friends on both sides, and
it's a lot of legwork to do all of it,
Yeah, and it was a lot of work in the background that I was doing just to be of assistance for the local music industry.
Yeah. Was there any one particular moment where you were like, "Hey, I can handle all this like middleman legwork for all the artists and make it easier for them"?
Yeah, somehow I was like, man, I'm doing a lot of work. Eventually, when we built up to 10 to 20 to 30 venues that just needed a little help, and I think I should swap to the chair.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, jump right in. Yeah, absolutely, go for it. Oh yeah, no worries.
I was waiting for the right time, and I'm like, it's never gonna come.
Just make sure it don't fall through the crack. Yeah, no worries. Yeah. Anyway, so in addition to that, with your day job, do you think having that business sales background kind of helped with this decision?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's so many different parts and moving pieces to this story.
Sure. Hasn't fully settled down yet, also, I would imagine. But
I began playing with a band called the Wheelers. We started out hosting an open mic at a now non-existent bar in White River Junction called The Wheelers.
Okay.
And doing that, that's where I started to meet all those different artists, different bands, things like that. And then we were ready to get playing at new venues, do real shows other than open mics and stuff. Shout out to Anthony and Kem and Brian and the Wheelers.
Yeah. Do you guys still play out quite a bit? Or
we try to do like 4 to 5 shows a year. Yeah. And wrangling 5 people is a little different than some of my other bands that I'm sure we'll talk about. With trios. And stuff,
absolutely.
But,
even just experience of like 3 of us.
Yeah. So once I started booking the Wheelers more and getting more shows with them, I was in retail management at the time, living above a store that I managed, and that store sold. So I was like.
What was the name of that company?
It's just the Canaan Food Mart. It was a grocery store.
Okay.
And I basically worked 50, 60 hours at this store, just doing orders, purchasing, running the register, putting up stock, everything. And
so balancing the musician life and that kind of comes naturally at this point. So
but having that retail experience, another gentleman that I played with, Adam McMahon, that was on your podcast, he was actually in IT and doing technical support for a reseller for NCR products, which is National Cash Register, the originators of the cash register,
Wow.
the original patent.
The old school point of sale system,
Yep,
everybody. The old school.
He's like, you have so much retail experience. Let me talk to the company I work for, and see if we can bring you in. So
now, is he still working for the same company, right? IT, he's still
doing the same thing, different company. We both started at one company and both moved to another, but it's the same product, same thing. But thanks to Adam, I got my first like professional job, career. Adam brought me into that. Yeah. And when he brought me into that, I started learning all kinds of new things, sales, marketing, things outside of the normal, just managing retail. I took my organizational skills and the things I learned in retail to that job, but I learned so much about cold calling, reaching out to businesses, talking to business owners, how to sit in a meeting with business owners and orchestrate like
all the stuff a lot of musicians don't want to do.
Exactly. Yeah. So simultaneously, while trying to book gigs for this band, the Wheelers and Adam and other bands at the time, I was learning these techniques that basically I was like, that's the same thing. Why don't I bring that marketing and sales ability?
How much do you credit your parents for work ethic? Because I remember we talked in passing one time that your father is or was a workaholic for a long time, right? Like you kind of.
I wouldn't say either one were like workaholics, but he was a business owner, great carpenter, construction. Worked with a partner, ran his own business, also a drummer. And my mom, I grew up in a split family, single parents. So growing up with a single mother, she obviously worked her butt off, to get us by. And
what did she do for work again?
Right now, my mom's a drug and alcohol counselor.
Oh, that's right.
She spent years of my life going to school for that while working. Any job that would get us by and learning those techniques. So both parents are extremely driven, hard workers. Taught me a lot of skills growing up.
It's good when motivation kind of comes naturally for people,
Yeah, it is. And they're both motivated in different ways, and I got to take from different pieces.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about the Wheelers VT Productions as far as some of your current musicians in your roster and your services that you provide.
I want to get that story kind of completed of how that kind of came about in the first place.
My bad.
So I took reaching out to venues that was happening naturally, supplying bands. I'm like, I'm spending so much time on this. How can I, one, organize it and structure it better, two, monetize it, in a way that's actually paying me back for this time while working a full-time job, while being a father and all these things.
You have one or two kids? I
have 3 kids.
3?
Yeah. So in doing that, I was like, well, do I become like a booking agent for the bands? Do I help teach them how to do it for themselves? Do we do artist development to help them be more successful at booking and performing in the area? Help them just create the relationships themselves with these venues that I had relationships with. And I tried all these different facets of that. Do we want to be just event organizers? Do we want to it's so many things.
You want to be consultants? Do you want to be kind of
and I kind of did all these things. Put on festivals, brought bands from different areas together, because that was always my vision with everything. Was there's so much talent around Vermont and New Hampshire, and there's these little pockets of musical talent all over. You get great pocket in southern Vermont with the Killington and Okemo folks and surrounding areas. You got these great northern New Hampshire and southern New Hampshire artists.
We are incredibly blessed with how much talent is around here.
And then, there's just fantastic original music coming out of Massachusetts and Connecticut and Maine and New York.
Do you get Massachusetts artists or just
mostly for like our larger events, the travel and costs and things. But yeah, absolutely. I book bands from Massachusetts quite a bit.
Now your territory still just primarily covers Vermont and New Hampshire at this point, right?
As far as venues we work for, and we'll get into that,
Gotcha, absolutely,
But cool. So I think really trying to figure out how to create a business started with in 2014, taking all these things I learned and trying to put on my own festival. And the band, the Wheelers, helped me substantially, so we called it Wheeler Stock. We rented an incredible venue space at Page Farm. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. Shout out to Brett Wilson from Roots of Creation for guiding me a little bit on that, advertising in their magazine at the time, Cider Mag. And we put on this just very fun event, single day, like noon to, I think it was like midnight. Had bands from the Northeast Kingdom, New Hampshire, all over Massachusetts. Right. And it was a really fun event. These bands got to engage with each other, plus their fans from all over the place, and everybody just had a great time.
How many people would you say that you have to employ for one of those festivals?
Oh, we had volunteers. I sorta knew Dustin Marshall at the time, who you had on this podcast. Great musician that I get to work with quite a bit. He said, "Hey, do you need any help for tickets?" And he actually ran the parking for me. He was supposed to do, I think, like 2 or 3 hours, and then
like
switch.
The guys in the airports with the planes just take the flags.
The weather actually turned on us quite a bit. We had some serious rain during the event, so Dustin, I think, ended up sitting in this parking area helping people for like 6 hours. And I barely knew the guy at the time, but that showed me his character. He stayed extra to help out.
Probably made it an easy transition to not only become a friend, but from a business perspective, working.
He wasn't playing out at all at the time. He just wanted to come have fun at a great show.
That's awesome.
We had. I wouldn't have done it without Anthony and Kim of the Wheelers, who helped me kind of keep things organized, sell merch there, things like that. Stagehands. It was all volunteer, and we raised money for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation.
Oh, wow.
For that, I had a close friend and drummer that had recently had a full lung transplant at the time, because he suffered from cystic fibrosis his whole life, and that's what kind of put that idea in my head for a fundraiser for that.
Right. Now, was this a one-day festival, or was it like 2 or 3?
It was a single day. We were there the whole day before setting up.
And for yourself, kind of learning on the fly how to do this, that you were probably thinking, boy, this is enough. I can't do like another day of this right now. I had no idea what I was getting myself
into. But I learned a lot doing that event. We were able to raise, a little bit of money for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, but as a business endeavor, it was a complete loss. Yeah. But as an incredible event and being able to do what I imagined, and do it, the back end stuff, almost by myself,
Right. So did you kind of have your hands in a little bit of everything, like sound production, and I'm sure you helped out with parking, or just, overall lighting? You probably had your hands in just about everything, right?
I didn't know as many production contacts as I do now and things like that. So I used suggestions, negotiated who would come, and I still have relationships with that sound guy and that lighting crew now.
Did you perform also too?
I did, yeah. I performed with the Wheelers at that show. Jester Jigs, who I play with now, three-piece cover.
I was actually going to ask them if they were involved.
Yeah, they were involved with their original drummer, Jason Gammon, fantastic drummer. And now I've been playing with them for 8 or 9 years, and there's bands that aren't bands anymore that were there on that event, and then there's bands that are highly, highly successful now that played our event for free as a donation at the time, like Joe Samba, and at the time it was Joe Samba and the Goons performed there for free, and he's been number 1 on the reggae charts before. He's touring the country regularly. Shout out to Joe, fantastic artist, and him and his brother and cousin and guitar player at the time took the haul up from southern New Hampshire to Newport, New Hampshire for that event for free, so it's amazing.
Now, that whole learning experience of good times and possibly failed moments in that festival probably paved the way for what you've been hosting the last couple of years, right? Mountain Music and Arts Festival in Warren, New Hampshire, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's at Melody Mountain Farm in Warren, New Hampshire. Shout out to Brenda and John, who own the property and started this music festival. I've been working on it for 4 or 5 years now, and it's incredible to watch its growth. It's incredible the artists that we've had come and perform on that property. We've had Grammy nominees, longtime recording artists, and then...
Who are some of those that you had, the Grammy nominees?
Oh, geez, we've had Duke Robillard played there. I think Adam talked about.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. He mentioned it. Oh,
We've had, so many folks. We had Rusted Root perform.
Did you have Roots of Creation?
We've had Roots of Creation numerous times. We've had Joe Samba numerous times. Local bands to that area that honestly.
Chris Paluto, shout out to him. I think has been there, right?
Yeah, Chris. Shout out
to Chris and crew. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. And I mean, those I can't even begin to name all those bands and how talented they are.
Yeah.
It would take the whole podcast.
Yeah. Does it ever get being the head guy for your own the booking agency group? And I know we've chatted on the side about stuff like this all the time. Do you ever have some days that like it really gets to you as far as like all the different avenues of communication to get stuff done?
I wouldn't say the day-to-day ever really gets to me. I love doing my job, my career. I love running this company and being able to work with artists and venues. It doesn't... There's frustrating moments that last minute cancellations. Venue has to close short notice because of an equipment failure or rearranging artists to make sure they still have a gig if something falls through.
Or a venue goes out of business entirely, and then you lose them as a
venue sells. There's new management. There's so many ins and outs to it, but I love everything that I spend time doing, and I'm very fortunate for that. I spend time. Playing music on the weekends and the weekdays, spend time working from home where I can see my family more. I'm not traveling to and from work for both businesses, and I'm absolutely blessed to do both sides. So for the frustrating days, it doesn't even matter.
Do you? I know you got someone you've had off and on. People help you out with this, but do you enjoy the graphic design portion of stuff, like what you do for social media content?
Yeah, parts of it. There's I've actually outsourced pretty much all my social media marketing to a very, very talented girl up in the Northeast Kingdom. Shout out to Haley. And I've had multiple people helping me with that over the years. There's just so much you can do running the financials, the booking, the sales, the marketing for a business. So I have
it's a full-time job.
It's a full-time job, and I mean, Mondays are doing the books. Tuesdays are making sure marketing's getting handled. Wednesdays are sometimes trying to reach out to new venues or artists and catch up on my emails with all the artists that reach out to us, sending EPKs and stuff.
It's kind of it's developing a pattern of consistency, just chipping away.
Absolutely.
Tell everybody on the podcast where they can find you on socials and your website.
Absolutely. Pretty easy. TheWheelersVT.com is our website. You can find us at NewHampshireLiveMusic.com and VermontLiveMusic.com as well. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram on those. We haven't quite reached out to the TikToks and a lot of the others, but pretty easy to find us on a quick Google search on those things. Yeah,
it's one of those things with a Google search or with a website. Like I've been going back from my end with my website, SammyBmusic.com. More of like an old school approach. Like when people say, "Hey, where can we find you? Where can we find like all this stuff?" I send them right to the one-stop shop, man. And that includes even a link to like Linktree via my website. I just send them to my website. I say, go to my website. I've got the Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok accounts like linked on there, merch, full list of shows, which include all the ones that you've helped me out and everything. I hope our world can still exist with the internet, that people can still go to a website first thing sometimes. But I know I'm also guilty of searching on Facebook and Instagram like first things. Like I know our perception has changed as far as what we search first, right? Would you agree as far as like how
I think sending people to the website first is always the best bet, and then linking from there, because it's the power of Google behind everything. Your SEO is increasing, your traffic to your website is increasing, making you more in people's face in the long run.
How much has social media helped as far as new clients / musicians or venues reaching out to you?
Social media is probably the number one way that people find us, backlinking from venue pages, things like that. We get constant emails from artists, especially, which I mean, we should touch on the fact that there's so many more musicians in Vermont, New Hampshire than there ever has been. I mean, when I started playing with the Wheelers, something like 15 years ago, 14 years ago now. There was a handful of Upper Valley bands, and we were all kind of doing the similar circuit. Yeah. And then each area kind of had that. I mean, there's hundreds, if not thousands now.
Do you credit that to social media being more prominent than ever for people staying relevant, or do you think it's the demographic of people moving to New Hampshire or Vermont, and there happens to be just a handful more artists and musicians that are in that demographic?
I think both of those things are factors. I don't know if the increase of promoting the arts in schools in our area has been a factor, because I mean, it is people from other areas moving in, but there's also a huge number of local kids that grew up in Vermont and New Hampshire that are now out playing some career like yourself. They're literally doing it, and I'm doing all these things and working a day job, running a business, having 3 awesome kids, but I think you're busier than me, Sam.
By the way,
and this is a podcast, so this is a conversation.
Exactly,
it doesn't all have to be on me.
By
You're
the way,
one of the busiest musicians I know, man.
Thank you, dude.
I wish you guys could do a zoom in on his schedule.
I do want to say also too, I forget how long ago it was, but congratulations on your engagement also too.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And does Erin play music at all? Or?
Erin doesn't. She's a music lover though.
How about your kids? Do they play yet or no?
My son Hunter took piano lessons for quite a while. He's more into the production side of things right now. He's really into running sound for the school plays and other types of things that they're doing there. They have an incredible theater at his school and an incredible AV club. And the girls are a bit young yet, but I'm hoping they pick up instruments.
And Hunter obviously started working at one of your venues, correct?
Yeah,
over the
shout
summer?
out to Salt Hill.
Yeah,
3 locations, awesome business, awesome family that runs it.
Yeah. And so you book music for all of them. Is there anything that stands out as far as, I know this is kind of like a question that's not on here, but anything that stands out about those particular locations for the Salt Hill as far as...
Salt Hill locations are all unique to the area that they're in, the demographic.
I love the shanty. The
shanty's great.
Looking fun.
Right at the base of Sunapee in Newbury, New Hampshire. Sunapee Mountain has a totally different vibe than like their Newport location that's in a like a factory blue collar town. Yeah. Also a great spot. And then their original location in Lebanon, right on the green, which is, kind of like the Dartmouth College area. And their menus are different. Their staff is different. A totally different vibe, but they run a highly successful business in our area.
Yeah. I think it's really cool with a corporation with those many different locations, especially in the restaurant industry, that there's always staple items on those menus, but then they also do things differently. Obviously, obviously there's different team members that work there, different servers, different managers. Yep. But it's nice to see a little bit of consistency and also like a little bit of differentiation in the menus.
I think it's smart. They're in 3 completely different type of towns. That catered to a different crowd, and they've learned a lot over, I think Salt Hill's been in business, I don't know, 20 years, about 20 years.
Joe is the one that runs the Newport one, right?
Yeah. The Toohey brothers run the business.
Funny story about Joe, I ran into him on the Sunburst 6 bubble chair at Okemo last winter.
Nice.
And he was like, he was just saying, shout out to Joe, by the way. He was like, what do you do? I'm like, I'm a local full-time musician around here. He goes, you ever get out to like the Salt Hill areas or whatever? I'm like, yeah, actually, I know the guy, Ty McCarthy, that books him. And he goes, wait, are you Sammy B? I'm like, yes, I am. Yeah.
There you go. Yep.
So it was pretty cool. Speaking of the ski resort mountains, you've been enjoying the work at primarily Okemo, obviously.
I absolutely love working with Okemo. It was a fantastic opportunity to partner with us for booking their opera season and a lot of their other events. Most of the things that we provide entertainment and music for are over on the Jackson Gore side.
Right.
And we work with Anna, who's just a fantastic...
Shout out to Anna Tumber.
Shout out to Anna.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a fantastic marketing person.
Yeah. She's such a hard worker, and she's becoming a hardworking staple in this town, like with the community and everything. She's been doing a fantastic job. Yeah.
And somebody working behind the scenes like her and a lot of the other... managers or restaurant owners I work with, they're almost like unsung, unsung
heroes.
They don't get a lot of props, but man, the efforts that goes into not just businesses the size of Okemo and Jackson Gore, like corporate type businesses, but the independent family-run businesses. And I mean, I'd say that's almost what we specialize in, though we work with corporations to book music. We love working with the staples in towns, those independents that have been started from the ground up with just blood, sweat, and tears.
It's got to it had to have been hard at first, probably like running a festival like 10 something years ago, to determine your pricing and like how to make ends meet as far as time on the phone, time on the road, like meeting up with places. Just a lot of the back and forth stuff, the graphic design stuff. It probably took you a while to get into a groove, right? With
it absolutely did, and it took a lot of time management skills, which I think is my strength for this area. I think not everyone. I know tons of musicians that are incredible with their time management, organization, like yourself. But there's some that are just super talented artists. They can write music, they can perform covers, but they just don't have that business side, and that's where we can help. And though we don't work for the artists, we work for the venues and our accounts. That's just the way I've decided to structure the business. As talent buyers more than booking agents. We work for artists in the way that I'm a gigging musician. I can understand where you guys are coming from, and my mind is always in your minds. Like I put myself in your shoes. For sure, yeah. So even though we're working for businesses like Okemo, Salt Hill, they're paying us to do what we do. I come from a musician side as well as a business side.
To credit you on your time management and business side of thing, like one thing I've always enjoyed about our working relationship, not just personal relationship, but our working relationship, is how I could be out in the middle of nowhere walking a dog, like around here with no cell phone service, because this is Vermont, and just no matter what, as soon as there's a red flag that comes up with like, hey, a gig got canceled, or like, hey, I need you emergency, you're right away just like, hey, can you help me in a pinch or whatever? I'm just like, yes or no. Like, we're very good about like the timeliness of that. And
I don't have a lot of issues communicating with kind of my go-to performers that take a lot of our bookings. It's not to say we don't bring on new folks. We do all the time, but obviously I'm going to lean on the most reliable, the most professional, acts that we put in places, the most requested, know.
It's obviously human nature also to tie that, whether it's venues or the musicians that you're working with, emotions have to come into play, I would imagine sometimes. Like, and every once in a while, there's probably some experiences where some of us, or vice versa, we don't handle negative news sometimes. Like when, like, hey, this is not happening now, or like, or why didn't you reach out to me? Like there's got to be like that human nature side of things where emotions get the best of you. While you try to always remember, hey, we got to think of it like a business as far as,
I think I very much have to separate the business aspect of it from my personal relationship with the musicians, when it comes to just the booking or what I'm doing for our accounts. Because I'm always trying to keep, ultimately, when it comes down to it, we work for those accounts. That's what I'm doing. So if something comes up, I need to handle it professionally, apologize, or vice versa. If I kind of expect the same from the contractors or the artists that we work with as well. Come back in a professional manner. Don't cancel the day before. Things like that. But I'm not going to bring emotions into that piece. You know?
One thing that's helped me, and I remind myself about this like over time. I remember like, because we've had some instances where you're like, hey, they're canceling the series, or like, hey, the place went out of business. Sammy, I'll make it up to you. Blah blah blah. I remind myself in a positive way. I'm like, okay, something negative like happened on like both ends or whatever, but ride the wave. What you're doing for your career, it's an investment. Don't let it fully get to you. Just like, hey, another opportunity is going to come. Maybe you won't have a gig that night after all. Not the end of the world. Just ride the wave, stay the course.
Stay the course.
Yeah.
One foot in front of the other.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Switching gears on a personal note, when did you actually start drumming? What was your first experience?
Oh man, having a father as a drummer growing up was pretty cool. I mean, we always had drums around set up. I remember being like 3 years old and sitting inside a bass drum, in the basement on top of the pillow that was dampening it, and always,
to keep the noise down, like at a certain time.
Just I fit, I was a little guy, and then watching him go out and gig. I think the first steady gigging band he had in Vermont was with the Goalie Boys, who still are together now.
Still around after all these years, yeah.
He hasn't played with them in a number of years, but I got to see him work hard all week, dusk till dawn, and then, pack up on a Friday night and head to Burlington, a couple-hour ride, and back home at 4 a.m.,
Right.
So
where in Burlington did they play primarily?
Oh, they played everywhere. I mean, they played around Windsor. Shout out to the Goalie Boys. They've been one of the hardest working bands in Vermont, New Hampshire for, I don't know, 36 years or something crazy like that.
What's their motto? We're from Vermont, and we're going to...
we're from Vermont, and we do what we want.
We do what we want. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And shout out to all the longtime members, the members that have passed in that band, but they are truly a musical staple for Vermont.
It's inspiring from a consistency perspective that they're going as hard as they are.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, Bill and Pete are still at it. They're playing separately right now, but they're both still playing out regularly as much as they can.
Yeah.
The Goalie Boys are still a thing, and so watching the old man go out, gig, do that, listening to a few rehearsals, going to a few shows back in the day at like 7 Barrel Brewery that's no longer in existence in Lebanon, New Hampshire. I mean, they just had wild crowds in the 90s, people dancing on tables.
Sure,
just a fun show. I watched that, and I'm like, man, I want to do that,
Yeah.
So I think I started playing snare drum and learning to read music in like elementary school, like a lot of folks,
Did he help you along the way with taking lessons, or did he kind of leave that up to you?
He left it up to me. He gave me the snare drum to bring to school, and that snare drum's still around. But then moving in with him full time around middle school, 7th grade, we just had a drum set in the living room. So he showed me, the basics, the boom, chick, boom, boom, chick. We had a big radio with tall speakers right next to the drums, and I'd come home from school, from Hanover High School, or Hanover Middle School at the time, every day, and just get off the bus, go in, he'd be at work, I'd make some food and sit down behind the drums and crank some like Led Zeppelin or
I was about to say, what was some of your favorite music you all liked listening to?
It's so much. At that time, I was really into hip hop, like older hip hop.
Sure, yeah.
And then at the same time, just always loved what I grew up on with classic rock, 80s. I remember just spinning my mom's record collection when I was bored in her room, and everything from, everything. Every kind of music you can think of, my parents were into.
Who would you say are some of your biggest idols and
I knew you were going to ask me that, and I was thinking about that on the way, and it's so hard because
you could do a top 5,
it's so difficult because like I noticed my playlist on the way here. Right now, in the last few years, I really enjoy the most listening to artists that I know personally, original artists like yourself, anybody that gets their music on Spotify. The Quins from Massachusetts are one of my favorite bands, Roots of Creation, Joe, like I brought up. But as far as what I grew up on and really enjoyed just sitting down and playing to, the classics like Led Zeppelin, the Beatles, Rolling Stones, learning those AC/DC, Guns N' Roses. But then all the way up to more like what my style almost became is like the early 90s grunge type era, like Nirvana.
Which you cover a lot. Another segue with Jester Jigs, obviously, right?
Yeah,
so much of that.
We cover so much 80s and 90s stuff, but we're also throwing in, some of the great 60s and 70s music. But there's just so much that I love Motown. I love soul music. I love funk music. I absolutely love the blues. Adam really sparked that in me.
Yeah.
But I've always grown up on blues-based music like the Allman Brothers and things like that. So that's always been in my blood.
I forget, did you ever see the Allman Brothers live? Did we
I
ever
never
talk
did.
about that?
No, that would have been pretty amazing, though.
Gotcha. Awesome. Yeah. So now, out of the two primary bands, we'll get to the Whatnots in like a second. But
I'd say there's three primary.
Three primary groups. Yeah, absolutely. But the ones that you might do just a little bit more in between, your day job and talent booking and everything. Which one's a little bit more active, Jester Jigs or Adam McMahon Trio?
I'd say I'm likely busier with Jester Jigs just because of the material that we cover.
Yeah.
A lot of we cover a lot of ground between campgrounds, private events in the summer. A lot of opera. They really like us up at Jackson Gore. A lot of the same regular circuit. We play at Salt Hills Newport location this Friday. Yeah. And that's a band that I grew up, as I mentioned, they had another drummer, and they were all close friends of mine, awesome guys, Jason, Sean, and Matt, and I would go there when they were rehearsing, and I just knew their material in and out from just being close to it, and I always saw the talent that they had, and that was a band that didn't book as much as well, so they were one of the early bands that I was sending out.
Guinea pigs, I
was sending them out 2 hours north, 2 hours south, and they showed up, and all they ever wanted to do was just play music. There's no, I'm going to cancel because I stubbed my toe. There's none of that. All those guys ever wanted to do was
I pierced my ear and now it's not going over well.
I just I felt that in them. They just lived that like rock and roll, lifestyle, and they're just super awesome guys.
Did I ever tell you one of my favorite things about Jester Jigs? I think I told you this years ago.
The octave.
I love how Matt sings the octave like a full octave low. Yeah, shout out to Matt, killer guitar player too.
Great guitarist, and man, I mean, he started out. He was just the default singer. He wanted to play guitar. That's what he wanted to do. But with what they had at the time, he just I got to sing, and then he started writing. They did a ton of original albums at the time. I listened to all of them back then as a fan. I mean, they were recording in Boston on Reel to Reel with a friend, Dana Colley, that they grew up with, of Morphine. He was a sax player and Morphine, and they're all original. Like only that. They were opening up for cool bands at like the Lebanon Opera House, traveling for like $50 to Boston to play like dive bars,
Yeah. When it's in your blood just to want to play.
They also grew up with a father as a musician, But Matt, his singing has come so far, and you brought up that ability to not stretch his voice, but sing something in an octave lower while playing insane guitar and separating those things. Just watching those guys grow and their talent has been cool.
And for me, it's interesting, Ty, because I've been blessed. It's like a blessing and a curse. I actually have note for note perfect pitch. Like I discovered this years ago. And again, I say this until I'm blue in the face. Anybody that's like, oh, Mr. Perfect Pitch, blah, blah, blah. It does not automatically make you a better musician. It helps when it comes to tuning up an instrument or figuring out what a saxophone player or a bass player, like what they know, like key-wise, what to work with. But what was really cool about that, hearing Jester Jigs for the first time, is that I know what the original key is based on what I hear on the top 40 radio. And to improvise like that, not strain your voice, that's cool. Because most of the time it's like, oh, work with your vocal range. That means, okay, you got to do this like 2 whole steps up, or you got to do it 2 whole steps down.
And we don't change the keys of songs. If something's tuned flat, we don't, bring extra instruments to do that, or tune down in the middle of a performance. We just do, play it in standard. But but in rehearsing, I'm like, I noticed like that's a stretch, Matt. Like sing that in a lower, and he'll just get it,
Yeah. And with Jester Jigs, and then obviously when you play primarily blues with Adam McMahon Trio, and then the Whatnots with King Arthur Jr., yourself, and I, which you never know what you're going to get sometimes from me, setlist wise. It's got to be cool to be versatile, to do 3 different types of shows.
Oh, it's so great. I mean, going from the Wheelers to the Adam McMahon Trio to Jester Jigs to the Whatnots, and then any other. benefited from meeting such talented musicians all over, like Vermont, playing cajon with Jenny Porter, playing with Tony Lee Thomas quite a bit.
Yeah, Chris Paluto, Dustin Marshall.
I'm playing with Chris Saturday up in Plymouth, New Hampshire.
Yeah,
and
nice.
Chris lives in Rutland, Vermont, and if anybody knows that area, I mean, that's a stretch. That's a haul. So
speaking of a workaholic, Chris Paluto, he's definitely.
Oh, shout out to Chris, man!
Yeah,
great guy and such
great
a
attitude, man. Yeah, I love Chris. That's such a great attitude.
Yep.
Yeah, I got paired randomly on the fly on a Killington gig one time with him, and I'm like, let's see how this goes. You might remember the live video from like the Umbrella Bar or something. This was like a year and a half ago, and I was so happy because just hearing him like with the looping and then his octave pedal, I'm like, this is just fun.
Yeah. But all the differences of all those folks. I would be, I love playing with whoever I'm playing with. I absolutely love the opportunity to be able to go do that, make money doing it somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Though the level of work is much more than most people understand. Mm-hmm. It is fun, and that's why we do it. Mm-hmm.
In a lot of ways,
but they're so different, and I love that about them. I would be bored if I just stuck with that one.
Yeah,
just to answer your question.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. And you also still. You DJ a couple of times a year, right?
Yeah,
like you do DJing services?
I DJ special events and weddings. I'm not really like a club DJ, but honestly speaking, it's an important thing to touch on because DJing has really taught me a lot about, for one, not being stuck up when it comes to music and genres, and just loving performing or playing what the crowd enjoys. Mm-hmm. Because you can be set in your ways, and I'm only an original artist. I only think jazz is cool. I only think hip-hop's cool.
Yeah.
What's cool is being able to make people enjoy the time on their night off. You know? That's what we're going out as entertainers. And DJing has taught me to enjoy whatever the crowd is enjoying, and also be able to read the crowd in a way of what to put on next. Mm-hmm. So it's silly. It's not the same art as playing a guitar or playing drums or whatever it might be, playing an instrument.
But it's a great way, like you said, of engaging with the audience and communicating.
And honestly, it's almost harder.
But
I'm not out there hunting for as many DJing opportunities as I can, but doing it is very fun as well. Yeah. I'd say I mostly DJ weddings, and every one of them has been a blast.
Yeah. And once again, going back to the social media connection, whether it's like a private message on your personal account or the Wheelers Facebook page account, the business page, or any of those group pages, hey, if a message is coming or an opportunity is coming, I got to at least answer it, and you may not actively be looking for that.
One thing over the years that's been tough is learning to say no.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure you have the same thing.
Yeah,
looking at your schedule, I think you have a big issue with
it is what it is. Yeah.
Squeezing as much into one day as possible musically, while still making sure family's a priority, is always something I'm growing in.
Yeah, absolutely. So. Yeah, I know the balance of everything is certainly challenging, but I know that you do it quite well. Speaking of which, you guys just went on vacation recently.
Yeah.
Cruise.
Vacations are very hard for a guy like me. I enjoy what I do, and I love being busy, and I love the work, whatever. I'm kind of a psycho. But I've forced myself, for the sake of my gorgeous fiance Erin, to make sure she gets a break. It helps me allow myself to get a break. So the last couple of years, we've taken a week and being able to get away. We tend to miss the kids. But I certainly.
But sometimes a break from the responsibilities is a beautiful thing, right?
Unfortunately, I still need to take a computer with me and do just a little bit of work in it, here and there. But it's ultimately a break and an adventure. And who knows when we'll get to do it again, but when there's the opportunity.
Because now winter's here, right?
Winter's here, and who knows what next year will bring. So
you probably have a similar schedule with me as far as when you can pick and choose to take some days off. I would imagine mud season and stick season, right? Kind of, even though New Hampshire, little bit, maybe your neck of the woods may be a little bit of a different client than the Okemo Killington area as far as the venues and what we rely on, like Mother Nature. Eventually it's going to get cold, and Okemo is going to eventually open up. But I would imagine there's still tourism-wise, there's high times and there's low times as far as when you can take time off.
The area I live in is extremely busy in the summer. The area you guys live in is extremely busy in the winter. So, honestly, anybody listening that runs a venue or hosts their own private events at home or knows somebody getting married, we'd love to boost our winter clientele.
Absolutely,
because during the winter months, a lot of our Upper Valley clients shift seasons. They don't have entertainment. So we're plenty busy in the summer, almost too busy.
Yeah.
And then the winter, some of the awesome venues out this way keep us busy. But we're always trying to grow.
Absolutely, yeah. Now, Ty, I may or may not have known this, but because I was doing my best while keeping this nice, loose, and fun, to do my homework also as well, too. Are you actively doing homework in grad school? Are you in grad school right now?
No, I finished my associate's degree in music production.
Oh, very nice. From the Los Angeles school,
Los Angeles Film School.
Yeah, nice. Yep. So was that a work from home scenario?
It was, yeah. So I was, getting home from gigs on the weekends, finishing up projects till 2, 3 in the morning, finishing up recording sessions, things like that. It was an awesome experience.
Right. Did you do it just because you want, or is there a specific goal that you have in mind with this degree?
A lot of things I do on a whim to challenge myself. Like, can I add one more thing? Can I learn more about what I'm trying to do? Can I become better at it? Can I offer more services through knowledge?
Yeah. That's an excellent approach.
I think. High school was a lot of ups and downs for me, and partying and wasting time. And I ended up getting a GED, and calling it that, and going into the workforce and working hard. But I since then, I grew a career, I grew a family, I grew a business, and it was just time to get that long-awaited college degree. So
absolutely.
It's hard for me to allow myself to be almost proud of myself, but I did. I gave myself credit. I did it. I pulled it off, and it was a great achievement for me. Yeah. Only a 2-year program, but if you knew what I went through time-wise and learning-wise, and how difficult some of those projects were, you'd understand. I was definitely proud of getting that, and it was just maybe 6 months ago I completed that program. So.
Fantastic! Congratulations,
Thank
man.
you.
And never forget, good and bad. There's always going to be different chapters of everyone's life, and you look on the good and the bad and the whole somewhat in between, and you take little bits and pieces of that, and that's how you learn and grow, that's fantastic.
Life should always be growing.
Yeah, but I absolutely love that perspective where you're saying how at the risk of spending money for tuition, whatever that may be, how can I still stay the course and challenge myself to get to that? I like that a lot. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. In a way, that's kind of been the process for me.
If you're not growing, you're slowing, man.
Yeah. In a way, that's kind of been the way for me as an interviewer now in a podcast.
Yeah, man.
I'm thinking to myself, in 40 episodes in 4 months, it's okay, there's something new every single episode. And the beauty I have found is, as much of an ADHD scatterbrained guy that I am, this has been a fun challenge for me of actually honing in on a one-on-one conversation and actually getting the most out of a guest. And I think so many humans on this planet can benefit from doing that. It's kind of almost maybe a little bit of a loss, art, with everyone being so deep into this. So
how did you come up with this idea?
Okemo Valley TV, and I give them all the credit in the world because I fortunately got elected as a board member back in June. And Patrick, our CEO, executive director here at the television station, he's dude, you got a legendary name around here. Get a musician podcast in here. And then that was one thing, creating a name and try to create a concept, and I'm still figuring it out on the fly. And I tell people this in episodes all the time. The reason I call it the Tasty Twist is because those are play on words to fun riffs that we play in music and fun things with learning music, whether it's sight reading or whether it's jazz lingo. Hey, he's a bad man, yeah. But it's also food references. And where does most of our work come from? In this line of work, especially localized, we're in the restaurant industry constantly all the time. So this should be a team collective effort. Servers working together. the eye on the prize, making the customer happy while also not taking advantage of, making sure that musicians enjoying what they're doing. They're watching the sound dynamics so that way the room's not too loud. The owners become happy. The managers become happy. This is a total collective team effort we're all doing.
What you're doing in the addition of this and letting audiences get to know each of these artists that they're seeing I mean, it's an awesome thing, Sammy.
Yeah,
so I appreciate it. Thanks.
No.
You know, getting in front of camera and doing this, I'm usually the guy behind the scenes, and that's where I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
I wanted to do this to take part in what you're offering, and also, you know, talk a little bit about my business since we're always behind the scenes.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a really great addition. So good job,
thank you,
man.
Ty. I appreciate that, man. And getting back to the challenging, hopefully this is, again, the being in front of the camera, a nice challenge for you.
Yeah, that was it. You just hit the nail on the head.
And we're sort of matching also, too. So, go us. Yeah.
Go play it.
Now, you're the man behind the grill, right? For the house, you're the guy that cooks for the family?
I love cooking, yeah.
Yeah, so what's your favorite food that you like to cook?
Lately this year, chili's been my thing. I love cooking chili. It comes out different every time, and
Meat
it's delicious.
Chili or veggie chili, or it doesn't
meat chili.
matter. Yeah.
Yeah, we're a meat family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Good.
yeah. I have to do a mix of both because Erica's a vegetarian. So, but
yeah.
I love the veggie chili that she makes. Yeah.
Yep.
How about Mexican food?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah. Would you say it's like one of your favorites? It's one of my favorites.
It's absolutely one of my favorites. We do burritos, tacos. I think we're doing the carnitas pretty soon. So
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Whenever we go on vacation, like anywhere out west, it's getting closer to the Mexico borderline or like New Mexico. We're always looking for like a new favorite like Mexican restaurant.
And it's Tex-Mex around there too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Here's a good question for you. Since you like to travel when you can, what is the farthest you have traveled to play a drumming gig?
Oh.
This could be going on a plane also too, not necessarily hopping in your car.
I'm not sure that I've done that. I think I primarily performed in the Northeast. Jester Jigs used to do like a Southern Massachusetts private event every year. It's hard to put my finger on it. I'm sure I've played Cajon in upstate New York and possibly other states.
So I think of
not far though.
Yeah, I think of Nashville in the back of my mind with this though. But is there any one major city you would want to visit to just be a patron or play music?
Oh, Nashville was a great time. Yeah. I went to Nashville, spent time on Broadway watching the acts. The talent is incredible.
It's good people watching on Broadway there.
It was
also
great.
Too. Yeah.
Chicago was awesome.
Yeah.
I've traveled all over the country for work or for just travel. But
you have a favorite place in the United States that you liked visiting?
I really enjoyed Nashville. I mean, I speak very highly of that, but the beauty of like upstate New York and the mountains as far north as like Potsdam, it's a beautiful spot. There's great parts of Connecticut where you're from. Rhode Island, the coast is beautiful. Yeah. I mean, I really love our
Manhattan's got its beautiful places also
Manhattan too. New York City's fun.
There's
great aspects of traveling anywhere, but I feel like I'll be extremely confident about it and cocky. We live in one of the most beautiful areas in this whole country.
I totally agree.
So
I totally agree.
That's why a lot of people travel here. We're very lucky to be me in New Hampshire. I've also lived in Vermont quite a bit, but yourself in Vermont. Yeah. I mean, it's a great area with great people.
Yeah, I always forget. Like when I moved up here 7 years ago, I was like, oh, I'm out of Connecticut, so thankful, blah blah blah. But Northwestern Connecticut and Northeastern Connecticut are very beautiful from like the mountains and the rolling hills. There's
great
nice
spots all around the state.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Mystic is a beautiful area.
Yeah, it is.
I used to love going there.
Yeah. No, even like the coast, like, New Haven, Brantford, Madison, Guilford. That's a whole nice area. Shout out to all my friends down that way too. And I think a lot of people enjoy New England for our arts and also the Four Seasons.
For sure.
So does anybody ski or snowboard in the family?
No, I love skiing, but we don't have a big ski family, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's gotten more and more expensive for sure.
It has, and I don't think that's the reasoning. It's just like my son, it's just not his thing. He's more into like the AV and like the gaming and the stuff like that. And but I love outdoors winter stuff. I love snowshoeing. I love hiking mountains in the winter.
Cross country ski?
I haven't. It's something I've talked about doing it forever, because I like being out in the woods in the winter. I enjoy it tremendously.
My grandparents are 100% French Canadian, and when my dad was growing up in parts of northern New Hampshire at the time, they're up near the coast, like near Lancaster, Berlin area, like kind of like way up north there. This was back when we had normal winters. They used to ice skate and play ice hockey.
Oh, absolutely.
Like outside all the time.
Yeah, I grew up doing that a lot. It was Dad's big hockey guy. Grew up in hockey family. Step siblings were hockey, so we grew up Ockham Pond in Hanover. Shout out to that. Playing ice hockey, pond hockey with like the Dartmouth hockey team and stuff.
Yeah. Do you because your business / home studio is based at your home, some drummers also write on piano, guitar, and they also write their own lyrics as well too. Do you write your own music, or do you? I
have. I don't. I'm not a poet by any means. I don't write lyrics for the most part. Right. I've put together. I put together music with guitar, bass, drums. Piano. I'm fully capable of those instruments.
Yeah.
While I was learning drums in middle school, like a full drum set, I was learning guitar and bass. So
I forget who I was talking to on this, but it's impressive when drummers and bass players, for that matter, also too, sing at the same time. Also,
oh,
too.
Super impressive.
Yeah.
That's not me.
Yeah.
I'm not a vocalist by any means. I might shout out some backing vocals from behind the drums, but don't put a mic in front of me, please.
Who are the main ones? It's Levon Helm, the late great Levon Helm from the band, right? And Phil Collins, right? As far as like singing and playing.
Yeah, I don't know that even Phil Collins was doing all the drum parts when he became a singer.
Maybe not. Yeah,
I think he was writing them.
Right. Well, because there's that. I'm thinking of there's like two main phases of Genesis, right? There was when Peter Gabriel was primarily singing, and then Phil Collins, obviously.
Yep.
But anyways, no. So Levon Helm is the big one of like how he's able to sing and focus on.
It's not easy.
It's impressive. Then you got Geddy Lee from Rush, plays bass, and the keys.
Sting.
Yeah. Oh wait, Sting. The Police. I'm sorry, Sting. Jeez.
The awkward reggae bass lines that he's writing and the complexity to them while being able to sing the Police have always blown me away, honestly. So
we're naming some pretty high end groups here. So, do you have a favorite live show that you've ever seen?
Oh, there's
a top three. Again, it could be a top 3 or a top 5.
It's always so hard. I love the Northeast bands that I've been able to work with.
Yeah,
they blow me away sometimes, but everything. Madish Yahoo was a fantastic show with his original band. I got to see that.
Didn't you see Tyler Childers?
Nope, I haven't seen Tyler. I'm a big fan. The Scorpions, 80s rock all the way.
Yeah.
Honestly, that was one of the best shows. Seeing Def Leppard at the stadium tour. And I'm not just an 80s rock guy, but those, the production they put into those events.
Def Leppard's drummer, one arm, right?
Yeah. I mean,
that's cool.
They put on a heck of a show. They blew every other band away on the roster, in my opinion. I shouldn't say that. But,
did you ever see AC/DC? I know you mentioned them.
No, I've heard their shows are
insane.
Yeah. But I can even appreciate music that I don't like that much, a lot of modern music. I brought Aaron as an early birthday present to see Jelly Roll, and the production at that show was some of the best I've ever seen.
Yeah. Hey, his he's
a great songwriter, man. There's things I need to appreciate from even music I don't get down with, and it's easy for me playing different styles to be able to accept that.
Hey, I brought it up a couple months ago when we jammed or whatever. Just I really did not know much about Post Malone's countryside, and a lot of people are like, "Hey, that's kind of where he started." Yeah. So it's like, hey, listen, and Jelly Roll, Taylor Swift, all these guys.
Slightly Stupid. I always love seeing. I've seen him 6 times.
Okay, yeah.
Sublime with Rome was great. Sublime was a big. Nope, never. I like more intimate shows. So a lot of the bands that play primarily at like big stadiums and stuff, I go, but it's not the same as like going to see a great regional or national touring up and coming band where you can be right there, know?
You know who blew my mind? I saw him in July at Treehouse Brewing Company in Massachusetts. Amos Lee.
Amos Lee's fantastic.
Phenomenal concert, man.
Great
really
songwriter.
Good. It's also how I felt about Jason Mraz 3 years before that when I saw him up in Shelburne.
I've heard that.
13-piece band. Really good. Awesome. Cool, dude. Hey, as we're wrapping things up here, once again, everybody, Ty McCarthy of the Wheelers VT Productions. Again, follow him, thewheelersvt.com for all your services, booking agency questions and inquiries. This is the guy, the man who's got top-notch communication. Yes. Shout out to anybody besides family in particular you want to shout out on this podcast?
Oh, so many folks. All the venues we work with, Salt Hill, Okemo, Off the Rails, Calcutta's, so many, Scott out in Chester.
Yeah, Southern Pie,
Southern Pie, man.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting so many, the Woodstock Inn and Brewery, Grotto out in Plymouth, New Hampshire.
Absolutely,
there's so many folks that we're fortunate to work with, partner with, and then the musicians. I mean, we book for probably have booked for over 200 artists. We book regularly, I'd say 80 to 100. You guys are all super talented. You make our business work, and so much gratitude to you guys for working with us.
Absolutely.
And yourself, Sammy.
No, thank you, Ty. Yeah. Well, I want to give a special shout out, not just you being the guest, but yourself in general, just as a good friend, and all your tireless hours, minutes, and phone calls for doing everything for us, for essentially doing, for lack of a better term, God's work, for helping us out any way that you can, especially in the venues. Thank you as well too. Speaking of work ethic, I think I've mentioned this in an episode before also. But one of the biggest inspirations in my life, and one of the most important people in my life, along with my grandmother, that paved the way for me, being up here in Vermont, lifestyle-wise and also work ethic-wise, and giving me my first job opportunity years ago in Connecticut. I want to make a special shout-out to my grandfather, Ray Blanchett, who I found out today he's kind of in a little bit of a declining health. 88 is still a very good run, so I'm just hoping and praying for him and my grandmother that everything's going to be okay as we head into the holiday season, Thanksgiving and Christmas season. And I would not be the man, and my parents also as well too. We wouldn't be where we are without his efforts, his generosity, and his work ethic with starting a business back in 1968. So, Ray, I look forward to seeing you soon, and God bless from up here in Ludlow, Vermont. And
shout out to all small business owners.
And shout out to small business owners.
Made a good point there.
Yeah,
absolutely. It takes a lot of work and a lot of everything you got to give to run a small business.
Last but not least, Ty, any we've given so much in this episode, but any other specific motivational advice you can give to anybody out there that may be looking for a boost just from motivation, work ethic, or just personally in life?
Just keep at it, one foot in front of the other. We all have ups and downs. Life and work and efforts and family can be hard, but life's supposed to be fun. We're supposed to have a good time and just enjoy every day.
Absolutely. And for those that need good luck, we rub the Buddha's belly also as well.
Oh, and who's this?
That's Paul McCartney, dude.
Oh,
you got Sir Paul, right?
Paul.
Yeah.
I think I remember that animated series that came from.
Yeah, right? Yeah. We all live in a yellow submarine. Well, guys, it's been a lot of fun. Shout out to the Wheelers VT Productions once again. Thank you for the stickers. Ty McCarthy, thank you for being a part of this, man.
Thanks, Sammy.
And to the folks here at Okemo Valley TV, this has been episode number 40 of The Tasty Twist with Sammy B. Again, check it out on OkemoValley.tv or SammyBmusic.com for all the latest releases. Have a great day. We'll catch you all next time. Bye.
Don't you worry now, my darling. Woo!
Hey everybody, thanks for watching this episode of The Tasty Twist with Sammy B. You can watch all the episodes of this podcast on Okemo Valley TV's YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe. You can visit their website, OkemoValley.tv, consider downloading their mobile app, or watch them on live television via VTEL, channel 166 and 167, Comcast 1076 and 1086. Are you interested in supporting a local media station? Please consider becoming a member today. Visit OkemoValley.tv for more information.